St. Patrick's Day, one of the most entertaining and enjoyable of holidays celebrated in the Western canon. It has become extraordinarily popular in the United States, even more so than it was in its homeland, Ireland. St. Patrick's Day is a celebration of both history and legend. When the religious themes of Catholicism and Christianity began to thwart the pagan homeland of Ireland, and this tradition was spread to the United States by millions of immigrants immigrating, especially in the late 19th century. It is a time for parades and festivities, for good luck, green celebrations of the Emerald Island, pictures with leprechauns, pots of gold, and rainbows, joy, hope, and optimism from millions of Irish people all around the world. And it is celebrated more frequently in the United States with its festivities and parades in New York, Chicago, and the dyeing of beer and rivers being quite common. But again, it is a story that takes place in the history and legend of Hibernia. That was what the Romans called it, the Emerald Isle, Ireland. Originally divided between different Celtic groups, which also populated Scotland and England, the Picts and the Celts were some of the most formidable groups that challenged the Roman Empire. At this time, England itself, Britannia, was controlled by the Romans, who never could quite conquer Scotland and set up a strong and powerful infrastructure during the first few centuries after the death of Christ. However, by 410, the Romans were in retreat, their empire beginning to crumble in the west, and the last Roman legion left in 410, leaving England subject to the invasions of different barbarian groups such as the Saxons, the Jutes, and the Angles. It is from here that the Anglo-Saxons replaced the Celts and Britons as the most formidable group running England. And it was from here that Christianity eventually came to the island and dominated English society, eventually spreading to Scotland and Wales, where the Roman Britons had fled. One Romano-British person who became extremely influential in the story of Ireland's development in connection to England and the Catholic Church was Patrick, a slave who was brought to Ireland at the age of 16, returned to England, and eventually decided to become a priest. His main motive? The conversion and sanctification of the Emerald Isle. It was here he returned. Here was the home of the paganic Druids, who had become a powerful religion, similar to the Celtic religions in Britannia, before the Christians had conquered that land as well, through forced and non-forced conversions. The Druids held great sway, known for their ritualistic powers and magical preferences. And it was here that St. Patrick encountered the snakes that he supposedly drove out of Ireland. There were no snakes in Ireland at the time, the snakes being a Christian reference most likely to the devil and all of his works. It was St. Patrick who supposedly taught the natives the Christian values of hope, faith, and charity, and the Christian Trinity, three persons in one, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, using the shamrock, a local clover which has come to represent Ireland and the celebration of the holiday. Patrick lived for decades on the island, doing what he could to convert the natives, establishing monasteries and schools, and slowly but surely bringing Ireland into the Catholic sway. But it was not Ireland where the holiday became the most popular. It was in the United States. Originally celebrated by loyal Catholics in the 1600s in St. Augustine, Florida, the oldest city in America, by the 19th century, it had become a popular holiday. Ever since the 1000s, people had celebrated the Feast of St. Patrick, commemorating his death on March 17th in 493. Irish immigrants brought this heritage and custom with them to their new cities of New York and Chicago, and therefore, as is common with American immigrant groups, the culture, customs, practices, and festivals that they hold dear to themselves weave their way into the heartland of American celebration and practice, such as wearing green so you don't get pinched, drinking green beer, and waving Irish flags. Wanting leprechauns to give pots of gold at the end of rainbows have all become part of American culture as much as they were part of Irish culture and folklore. And therefore, the holiday has gone away from its original traditional roots of celebrating St. Patrick himself. And if he were alive today, he would more likely start to drive out snakes and convert using shamrocks than he would drink beer and celebrate festivals and parades. However, it is a testament to the power of imagination, the mix of history and legend, that have helped made holidays as popular and well celebrated as they are today. And it is no different than many other holidays that have pagan origins that were thoroughly Christianized and now have become secularized in the modern world, especially in the United States, where they are most celebrated and cherished. I hope you enjoyed learning about the quick story of St. Patrick, his life, his legacy, and the celebration of his holiday that has become really popular here in the United States. I hope you're wearing green so you don't get pinched and you can enjoy some Guinness or green beer and go to a parade like the biggest one in America in New York, which celebrates the Irish patron saint. If you enjoyed this, consider liking and subscribing and tuning in Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when I have long form content like this dropping on the channel. I have live streams every weekend. You're happy to come there and ask me questions about history or listen to me lecture about a historical topic. I have a Patreon and Substack where you can get more bonus content and read my writings and all of that great stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a lovely St. Patrick's Day. May the luck of the Irish be with you. And remember, love history.